Hey guys, my name's Sam and welcome to Prep Medic. In today's video, we're going to be going over the third line gear that I carry as a tactical medic. Alright guys, like I said, today's video is going over my third line gear. Quick recap for those of you that don't know, I have two other videos out of my first and second line gear. Third line gear is the gear that I'm going to have in a pack format. So this is going to be in the MRAP or the car. I can take it to the house we're clearing or building, and oftentimes they'll be left at the door. So this isn't my IFAC, this is any additional supplies I'll need. This is everything and everything I'll need. So starting with the pack itself, this is the NAR4 aid bag by North American Rescue in multicam. It didn't come in the exact shade of green that my armor is, so I opted to get multicam because it kind of goes with everything. I know that doesn't really matter a whole lot, and I'm sure somebody's laughing at me, but it matters to me, okay? So the bag itself is pretty sturdy, it's pretty slim, it's meant to be worn with armor. On the front you've got some rows of webbing here, and this is all 500D Cordura nylon. The zippers are YKK, self-repairing. It's supposed to be sand-proof and water resistant, all of those good things, as well as has a low IR signature, but in law enforcement I don't really care about that a whole lot. You've got a loop swath over the front to put your identification patches. And then on either side, you've got more of the MOLLE webbing. You've got some buckles, you can secure it closed. And then on the bottom, you have some MOLLE webbing as well. So on this side, you'll notice it's got a couple straps. It can be worn as a backpack, which is what I'll use it for most of the time. These are pretty thick padded straps, which is a blessing and a curse. It's really great if I'm going to be taking this long distances. It's not going to fatigue my shoulders as much. However, this is going to be a lot harder to put on with my armor and to shoulder my rifle with. So some of North American Rescue's competitors, such as First Spear and TacMed Solutions, their packs are really thin nylon straps, which are meant more to go over the armor. So I'm not entirely sure about these. I think it'll be fine, but it is one of the downsides to this pack. These straps can be stowed inside the back of this, leaving this a flat face. Which is really nice if you're storing it in an MRAP or your car. These straps aren't going to get tangled up on a bunch of stuff. And I should mention that this pack also comes with a couple straps that you can secure directly to your armor. I'm not going to do this because a lot of times we're going to take this gear and I'm going to just leave it at the front door of the house or building and go from there. And with the straps, it's a little bit harder to don and doff. And then when you take it off, you've got some straps hanging down on your armor, which I really don't want. All right, so let's lay this down and take a look at some of the stuff I have inside. All right, now I should mention really quick that this pack runs about $360 without a discount, so it is very pricey like a lot of North American Rescue stuff is. However, for premium medical packs, it's about par for the course. You can get the First Spear model very similar to this for about $300, and then the TacMed Solutions for about $300, so it's relatively comparable there. All right, so getting into what I keep on the outside. I guess the first thing we'll talk about, I've got a pair of trauma shears here. This buckle on the side kind of holds them in. I'm not going to secure a lot of these buckles just because they don't allow easy access to the pack, and I really want that. On the outside, I've got this guy attached, and I wanted to keep all of this separate because this is all the really basic things. These are in here. Let's go through it really quick. I've got hydrocortisone cream, a triple antibiotic ointment, hand sanitizer, and chapstick. And I should say with these, I really want these in this pack because this is something that's going to make a huge difference for your team. You know, somebody that has a headache, that has indigestion, something like that, they're not going to perform as well as somebody that's feeling better. So I keep this in because these are the most common things that somebody's going to complain about, and it's really nice at trainings or at a call out. I can just whip this out, give somebody some ibuprofen or some lip balm, whatever it is, and help them through the rest of the day. And that's really going to help solidify your relationship with your team, if nothing else. All right, going on in here, I've got some Band-Aids, and then some miscellaneous medications and some Tums. Now, this is everything I just told you about. So this is the aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, some Benadryl in here. Now you want to be really careful giving aspirin to somebody or ibuprofen to somebody that's going into a potentially dangerous situation, because those things actually promote bleeding. So before an operation, you're going to want to stick with Tylenol, something like that. It'll be a minor difference, but it could be the difference. Other thing I have is a set of hand warmers. I'm going to get a couple more for in there on the really cold Iowa days and nights. These are really nice to have. Next to that, I've got a big Sharpie to mark for a tourniquet, whatever it might be. And then coming to the bottom of this pack, I carry a set of smart triage tags. Pretty rare that I'd use this. Most of the time as an ERT medic, my duty is to the team and not necessarily to groups of people. But if in an active shooter situation in a school, we've neutralized the threat, all my team is safe, taken care of, I'm going to switch roles and go to start helping the victims as opposed to being an entry team member. So I keep these in for those purposes alone. All right, so opening the bag up. All right, so right away you're going to notice how compartmentalized this is and how neat it is. I really like how North American Rescue has organized all of this, and this is pretty much how it came out of the package. You'll notice each one of these compartments has a different label on it: airway, bleed, IV. I took the IV off this one because it's not an IV anymore, and then so on and so forth. So I do enjoy how they've organized this. You're also going to notice each of these modules can come off, so you can reorganize it how you want, or if I've got somebody else that's treating another patient or needs something, or is maybe doing airway while I'm working on bleeding, then I can just pass them a cell and move on. So let's start with the airway cell here. And hopefully you can see it. If you can't, I'll do some B-roll over it. So in here I've got a couple things. In the top pocket, I have 3 sizes of king tubes. So your standard size, I believe it's the 4 here, that's the red tip, and then the yellow and the purple. This will treat everybody on my team, and most grown adults will work with these tubes. Now these tubes are a supraglottic airway. They can be inserted really easily, and it just gives you a better airway, protects it if they're maybe vomiting, and then it's really easy to drop one of these in and give the bag valve mask, which I'll show you in a second, to another rescuer or another officer that might not know how to make a seal with the mask, and they can just squeeze. Now, so these are going to be a very rare use item, but I have them in here just in case. In the second flap of this, and this is what I like about this compartment, is you've got kind of this elastic band going through here. I've got a compact BVM that can fit in there. That's a bag valve mask. I carry some OPAs, so oral pharyngeal airways, some NPAs, and then I carry a set of Magill Forceps, which Magill Forceps are meant to reach down into the throat and grab an obstruction and bring it out. Chances that these are going to be useful without a laryngoscope set are pretty slim to none, but I have them in here just in case maybe there's an obstruction that I can visualize and get out of the airway. And I also have some lubricant in there as well for the NPAs. Coming down to the bleeding pockets, you'll notice I labeled this one Tourniquet TQ because there's no distinction between the two, and I wanted to make sure that if somebody needed a tourniquet from this kit, that they could get it really quickly. So these are just general purpose pockets. They're just pretty much open. I've got 2 cat tourniquets. There's another one in there I'm not going to grab out, and a SWAT tee. A lot of people have asked me on opinions on SWAT tees. These are not good for a primary tourniquet, but for a secondary tourniquet, I think these are great, and they're very multi-use, so I do keep one in there. Now keep in mind there hasn't been a ton of studies on them, so they could come out and say they're completely horrible, and that's okay. I'll probably stop carrying it then. In this bleeding container, I've got 4 compressed gauze and Z-fold gauze for wound packing. So your tourniquets and your wound packing are here, and that can treat all of your junctional hemorrhages and your massive extremity hemorrhages really quickly. Also keep in mind I keep 4 tourniquets on my persons during a call out, so I've got 2 on my armor, 2 on my belt. And I have other stuff to pack wounds and so on and so forth. So these are really backup tourniquets, and I should never have to reach in here for them, knock on wood. All right, so coming down to these compartments. In here, I've got this pocket that has 2 ARS needles for needle decompressions. go watch the video on needle decompressions if you're curious about how to do this. I posted that a couple weeks ago. I've got some nitrile gloves in here. I've got some on my belt as well, so shouldn't need these, but just in case I do have them. I've got 2 saline flushes for like eye irrigation, things like that. And then in this pocket, I have my stethoscope, which is a Littman Master Cardiology. That's a humble brag. I love this. I got it when I graduated paramedic school, and it's never led me astray. And then I have a blood pressure cuff in there as well. It's a Welsh Allen. And these pockets are secured with just a bungee strap. I really do like that. In this one, it's labeled IV, and guess what? It is an IV compartment. I have 2 North American Rescue start kits in here, and these have 18 gauge needles, and they've got everything you need to start a saline lock. So if you just want to start an IV, maybe it's where you're going to give the meds, or maybe you're hanging fluid, this will start that for you. And I've got 2 of those in there, so 4 needles total. And in this pocket, I've got a bag of 500 milliliter bag of normal saline. For a little bit of fluid resuscitation. You know, you don't want to be pumping somebody full of saline. It's kind of a misnomer because you're going to break down their clotting process. You really want to aim for permissive hypotension, but this will work for us in the meantime, and it's better than nothing. And then I've got a drip set in there as well, which is the tubing that actually administers the saline. At the very bottom here, I've got a roll of 3-inch tape, and it's on the little hook carabiner thing that comes with the pack. Let's move down to the lid of the pack, and I'll show you that. All right, so in the lid or cover of the pack, there's 3 mesh compartments, and this is pretty heavy-duty mesh. A lot of times mesh can be a weak point in anything. I don't think it'll be an issue with this pack, but that will remain to be seen. Notice it is made in the USA, which matters to some people. It doesn't matter to others. I personally like it because I've found the quality of those tactical products made in the USA is quite a bit higher. And anything I use operationally, I try to get something made in the States. I'm sure there's a lot of great gear out there, and I'm sure some of you guys use it, and that's fine. That's just a choice that I've made. So in this top compartment, I have 2 emergency trauma dressings, and these are those big kind of Olays dressings. I've got another video on these where I open one up and show you what they are. The reason I don't have these with the bleeding stuff over here is, in theory, ETDs are never going to be used in like a life-threatening bleed situation, or they're not going to be used commonly. So I separated them out of necessity because I don't have any more space over in the other section. And I think they're going to be used a little less emergently. So I keep them in this pocket that's not really labeled, but I might throw a piece of tape on there eventually. The middle pocket, this is a little less emergent stuff. I've got a space blanket. One of the big killers in trauma is heat loss and hypothermia, even on relatively warm days. So I keep this around. I think it's a good addition to have. And a lot of this stuff from North American Rescue is relatively cheap, so I just buy it in bulk from their website and stock this up on. I've got another set of hand warmers in there. I've got just a roller band, and this will secure the splint on. I'll show you in a second here. I have 2 cravats, which these can be used to make a sling and a swath. For those of you that don't know what a cravat is, it's just a triangular bandage. So you can have somebody's arm held if it's broken, or you can do a lot of stuff with this. You can even just make a bandana if you need to keep flies out of your hair or something. An eye shield in case somebody has an eye injury. I probably should have 2 of those in there. And then a SAM splint. And this is just a radiolucent splint that can be used for a lot of different things. It's pretty versatile, which is why I use this. Yes, it is orange. No, it is not tactical green. If I'm applying a splint, we are not in a combat zone, and it's okay for it to be orange. You know, I don't work in Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm not a soldier where this might be on a soldier for a long period of time, and the orange would make them a target. So you pay more for tactical stuff, and you pay a little bit less for the orange splint. So I went with this. That's all that's in that pocket. And then last but not least, I've got my chest seal pocket. So I just have a single hyphen chest seal here, and then I've got a twin pack here. I'll probably get a second one of these but right now this is really all I need. So a couple things missing from this pack. It's always a work in progress, so I'll be adding and subtracting from this pack periodically. I do have a small portable suction device on order for this, and then I've got a small litter for carrying people out. Neither one's critical at this point, but they are things I'm gonna like to put in this pack. That's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you think I forgot something, please leave it in the comments down below, or if you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer them. Stay tuned next week. We got a lot of other great videos coming up, and I will see you next time.